points in 35 minutes in the Warriors' loss. Skip, you were tweeting about his bark being worse than his bite. Of course, after the game, there was some interesting back and forth between Draymond and a reporter about how much strategy he's been discussing on his podcast. Take a listen.
I found listening to your podcast recaps the last couple of games pretty interesting. Are you conscious at all of what you're saying about the X's and O's, the game plans, the adjustments could be making their way back to Boston staffers and influencing their decision-making at all?
No. I don't say much different on the podcast than I say to you right here. So, nah. What's the X's and O's that I said on the podcast?
You talked about how to cover White, Smart, and Horford differently between games 1 and 2. That was really only...
Oh, yeah, that was just contesting shots. If that's X's and O's, then you reaching for something. It's all good, though. Keep going. Reaching heavy. The only thing, you find that they are taking X's and O's away from your podcast. Well, the only thing you said is White, Smart, and Horford.
I'm not trying to blow it up.
I mean, you went for it, but hey, respect. Appreciate the podcast promo you just gave me, though. The Draymond Green show. Next time, just mention it that way.
You got it.
All right, bet.
He's never at a loss for words, is he? All right, Shannon, if you were Draymond's teammate, would you be concerned about him giving away strategic secrets?
No, I'll be concerned about that bullseye performances that he keep giving me on the court. That's what's my concern with Draymond, Skip. All he said is, we got to contest shots. And that's what teams say when guys are making, getting wide open looks. Al Horford had 26 points. And Derek White comes in, I think he gave you 21. We just need to contest some of those shots and make sure they're not open shots. I would be concerned about his play on the court and his behavior. Because at some point in time, Skip, some referee is going to say, no, I've had enough. Now, I've seen this go on for 3 games. 3. I've seen this go on for 4 games. I'm not finna just keep letting you berate me, keep going. I've told you that's enough, and you keep going. That's what would concern me. I'm not worried about, because, Skip, that's what makes Draymond so good, is because he's willing to go in depth. That's why he's already has a job lined up for when he's done. He's going to go move right on into TNT. Because he's
already pretty much part-time, full-time, right?
So, Skip, he gives you some in-depth stuff. He gives you stuff other than, we played well, they didn't play well. He'll go a little further in-depth. But I didn't take anything, I don't listen to a whole lot of his podcasts. Now, when he has a guest on, I'll tune in. I like when people have guests, I want to hear what they have to say. But Draymond, Skip, does, he understands the game. He has a very high basketball IQ. But I think if I'm his teammate, I'm more concerned about what he gave me in games 1 and in games 3 and his behavior that he displayed in all 3 of the games, more so than I am worried about him giving away X and O or strategic strategies.
I'm going to have a hard time commenting on this because I do not listen to Draymond's podcast, so I have not broken down what he says or doesn't say. Okay. But he seems to go solo a lot.
He does.
And if you just start talking to the wall, sometimes you lose your place a little bit where you start to babble and maybe he spits out a secret or two, a strategic secret that he shouldn't.
Right.
All I know is that after game 1 at Memphis, when he got tossed and went crazy, went like Antonio Brown Memorial exit, right?
from Giant Stadium, whatever it's called now.
Yeah. And he went straight home, didn't talk to the media after the game. That's fine because he was gone. But he went straight back to the hotel and fired up his system, and he went live on his podcast, right? So that's the first time I ever saw a player do a post-game on his own podcast.
Right.
Okay, way to go. We have another 2022 breakthrough. But if I'm his teammate, I'm starting to wonder if he talks a better game than he plays because he talks and talks and talks. And I would start to wonder, does he have 1 foot in and 1 foot out? Is 1 foot in TNT? Because he's sort of segueing into his second career while he's still playing basketball, right?
Yeah.
And as Jen said, I tweeted at the end of the night that, the bark is much worse than the bite is right now. He did have the 1 game 2. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But last night was, I don't have to say it because he did say it to his credit. Could we hear how he characterized his performance last night, please?
How do you feel you played?
Like
what was the difference this game?
I just think I never found a rhythm. really on both ends of the floor. So not enough force, but just got to find the rhythm quicker. I approached the game differently. Everything else falling in play. There's no big X and O adjustment in the NBA Finals. You know what they do. They know what you do. Now who's going to go play with the more force and win the game? They did that tonight. We got to come out and do that on Friday.
So he said I was SH, and he said I was soft.
Right.
And bingo, bingo.
Right.
And you can't give me 6 fouls and 2 points and expect to win a game on the road at that place, right?
Right.
Now, they were chanting at him last night. I don't know how many of the fans chanted, but a bunch of them were chanting, F you, Draymond, F you, Draymond, F you, Draymond.
Yeah.
Did that get to him? It usually inspires him. He's usually one of those instigators who thrives on that, but it appeared to soften him up last night. Mm-hmm. He didn't seem to want to engage physically the way he did in Game 2. So, man, I don't know. Just the issue being raised about the podcast, I'm with you. In the end, all that matters is how he performs. But you, if you're leaking slight secrets out about game plans when we do this, and again, I don't know the specifics, but the Bleacher Report reporter was holding his feet to the fire. Well, how you defended differently from Game 1 to 2.
Well, we contest the shot.
Smart and White. Okay.
We contest
I don't know
the
how
shot.
specific he got about.
We made it difficult on you, but Skip, like you said, okay, it was the 2 points and the 6 fouls. It was the 4 points in game. I think he had 4 points in game 1. He just needs to play better. If Draymond had gave you 20 points, nobody's asking about strategy that might be leaked.
Right. Yeah. It would be like back in your day, your Hall of Fame career, if you were doing a podcast on a game day, which that's where we're heading with this, and you would sit down in your hotel room on the road and say, we have put in a route for this game that is going to smoke them. Right. They're going to have no idea what hit them, and let me explain the route to you. Right. Well, obviously, you can't.
Well, Skip, one year, I'll give you a prime example. In 1996, we played the Ravens. They were down like 3 offensive linemen. So that means they got to play a lot of linebackers. Mm-hmm. So the whole week, what are we doing? We running hurry up. Because you got to come to altitude, and you down linemen. Okay, let's see what you do. We put 48 on them. Now, if I come out there and say, well, we know, Skip, we know they limited offensive linemen, so we going to go up-tempo, that's something different.
Yep.
So, yeah, I get giving away strategy, and you had to be very, very careful because there are things that we're going to do during the course of the week, and it's like, well, hey, we're going to do what we do. You figured out what it is. Yeah, it might be 2 tight ends. It might be 3 tight ends. It might be a lot of empty formation. But, you have to be careful because they listen to everything. Skip, that's why teams, they have the audio. Because the networks, Fox and CBS, they got these big old mics. They want to hear the quarterback. You want to hear Omaha. You want to hear the checks. And guess what? That goes right back to our video. We break that down. You hear this call? This is what this means. You hear that call? That's what that means.
Yep.
So you have to, man, hey, everything that you say.
And why do the play callers do this?
Because they read your lips. I'm looking at stance, how you stand. Oh, man, he got a lot of pressure. It's a run. You pick up on tendencies like that. But if Draymond play better, ain't nobody going to be thinking about the strategy that he's possibly. Because whatever the strategy is, it ain't working for him. He need to have a strategy for him to play better. That's the only strategy that Draymond needs to playing better.
He flat out got bullied last night on the interior, which is why the rebounds went 47-31 Boston, which is why points in the paint were 52-26. A lot of that is on Draymond. And I know he only goes, what do we give him? 6'7", maybe?
I give him 6'6", maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
But he has been the guts of their defense and their rebounding. He has been the guts of it. I know Looney's come up big too.
Yes.
But again, Game 4, he's got a lot on the line right now because he's been called out. And by the way, his responses about his podcast, I thought they were pretty defensive. I thought he was caught a little off guard by it. And the more he thought about it, the worse it got. Right. So it sounded like he was starting to run it back in his mind like, wait a second, did I divulge?
Well, yeah, he's trying to think, but Skip, look at it. Marcus Smart cannot have the same number of rebounds as Kevon Looney and Draymond. He's the opposing point guard can't have as many rebounds as my 2 bigs. Well, that's where you're losing the game, the second chance points and the offensive rebounding. But he hadn't played well, Skip. I mean, like you said, I played like poop. Hey, and he has.
He has. Dennis Rodman talked a lot. Dennis Rodman had way more antics than even this guy has, but Dennis Rodman flat out backed it up every single night.
Skip, you remember Rasheed Wallace, who's now on the Lakers staff. Man, they would tee Rasheed up for looking at the official. He could look at the official, and they would tee him up. Draymond is literally berating the officials, and he's out of the game, and he's still yet barking at Courtney Kirkland. And they like,
yep.
I'm doing everything I can. Draymond, I'm doing everything I can.
They're trying not to suspend him.
They're trying not to throw him out the game, Skip.
Yep.
But he's like, I don't care, I dare you. You won't do it. Don't try. I bet you won't do it. And he keeps going. At some point in time, Skip, you know what? I tell you what, get old Kane Fitzgerald. I bet Kane Fitzgerald, because remember, he the one that threw LeBron out. The only game that LeBron did.
I agree.
Kane Fitzgerald go get him.
Well, if Draymond isn't careful, he's going to talk his way right off the Warriors and right onto the TNT set.
Well, he gonna talk himself to a loss in the NBA Finals if he's not careful.
You got it.
Because Boston's legit. Ooh, they get the game Friday. It's over. It's over.